Hello and welcome to the UNPL Spring Fling Draft League. This is the first iteration of the UNPL Spring Fling, I'm pretty sure. And this is for the Showdown League, not the Wi-Fi League, but for the Showdown League. I decided to join the Showdown League instead of the Wi-Fi League because the Wi-Fi League's pretty, I don't know if I have the time for that, overall. This is one of the divisions. I'm in the Naranja division of the Spring Fling Showdown League. For the UNPL, and this is my draft. This is my overall my draft review of my team. I was 6th pick out of 8, I'm pretty sure, in my division, and basically the Spring Fling is a low tier league, a little different from classic draft leagues. So there's no stuff like Dragapult or Iron Valiant or like Chiyu or Chempao, stuff like that. It's all lower tier mons, like generally. So like the highest tier has stuff like Raikou, Entei, Haxorus, Hisui, and Goodra. Those are like the top mons in this format. So this is my first time actually doing a low tier league. I've never done before. So I didn't really know what to expect. I kind of just drafted basically how I would draft any other league, except obviously just the mons. The power level is lower overall. So going into this, at the top, there wasn't really any Pokemon that I thought was wow, except there was Speed Boost Blaziken is allowed in this league for some reason, which I'm pretty confused about, because Speed Boost Blaziken in regular leagues is still insane and is banned in like quite a bit of places, right? So this being allowed in a low tier league, especially, was pretty insane to me. Just spoilers, I didn't pick it, and it did get to me in the 6th pick. In the 6th pick, it got to me, and I didn't choose it because I did just use Speed Boost Blaziken in the UNPL T League, so I kind of wanted to switch it up, use something else, Yeah, and speaking of that, we'll just go with our first pick. My first pick was Haxorus. So, Haxorus is a really, really strong dragon type. So I really wanted this because it's a decent speed tier, like 97. Also that attack stat, it's like 147 attack, which is insane. Yeah, so I really just wanted this because good speed, or decent speed, insane attack, right? It is Mono Dragon, but it does get a ton of coverage. It does get close combat, it does get Iron Head, it does get Poison Jab, it gets First Impression as well, which is a big selling point of this. Putting a choice band on it saying I can choice scarf this. It also gets Swords Dance, it gets Trailblaze, it gets Dragon Dance as well. Toastmon is very, very threatening offensively, and being a mono dragon is actually pretty good defensively as well. So this is where I went with my first pick. I really enjoy it. Next pick, second round, is interesting. Is Feraligatr. So there we go. It's Feraligatr, little sneak peek there. I really want Feraligatr again. I've seen some other people use Feraligatr in low tier leagues, and it looks really, really good. And for the price point it was at, I think it's like a good steal at the price point it is at. Sheer Force boosted attacks, coming off of like a decent attack stat, is really, I think, really powerful. Like those liquidations especially. And the secondary coverage moves are very good on this mon as well. This mon also gets Swords Dance. It also gets Dragon Dance, and it's just a very good breaker in general. And I am excited for Feraligatr. Just sheer force boosted attacks, throwing them off with Dragon Dances possibly, which I'm excited for. My third pick is Mandibuzz. So I chose this because Mandibuzz is overall good defensive utility mon. I was trying to kind of recreate Corviknight, the Corviknight from the UNPL D League, which Corviknight's such a great mod. Like defensively, it's so good. And Mandibuzz is pretty similar to it. It's basically Corviknight, but just with Dark instead of Steel typing. It gets Defog, it gets Roost, it gets U-Turn, it gets Brave Bird, all that stuff. Mandibuzz also gets Defog as well. Or sorry, not Defog. It also gets Toxic as well. So that might come in handy depending on what I need a Toxic. And it gets Overcoat as the ability. Can't do that. Maybe I could do some interesting weak armor stuff. I don't know. Maybe. but still maybe usually be as a defensive mon, either physically or specially. So yeah. Next pick is Tinkaton for the 4th round. Tinkaton's a great, obviously the great fairy steel typing. Insane utility, like Thunder Wave, knockoff, Stealth Rock, Thunder Wave, I think I already said that, all that stuff. And Gigaton Hammer as well. If I do want to go Swords Dance offensive, I can. Gets player up as well, gets coverage like Ice Hammer, things like that. So I think Tinkaton is just great. It was good defensively for my team, gives me Fairy and a Steel type, and it provides a lot of utility to my team as well. Going in next pick, we decide to pick Blastoise. This is another way of hazard removal for me as a rapid spinner, and I've always wanted to use Blastoise. Just like I've seen that people use in other leagues, it's pretty good defensively. It can be either especially defensive or physically defensive. It's got good defenses. It has Flip Turn. It has Aqua Jet, has Rapid Spin, all that stuff. It's Yawn, all those moves. It's just a really pretty good like defensive Pokemon overall. But there's also always that threat of Shell Smash, right? So I could also run Shell Smash, and my opponent can be prepared for that, or maybe not. Depends. So I like that variance and like overall utility that Blastoise brings is what I was looking for, and this is my bulky water as well. I do have for Alligator, but Blastoise is more of a defensive mon. So next pick, I chose Clodsire. Again, more defensive orienting. I love Clodsire. He looks very funny, first of all, but he also is my grounded poison, and he's also my ground type. So roll compressing here, great especially defensively, and Unaware and Water Absorber, 2 great abilities. So I can ignore setup sweepers with this. I can ignore like, the water type, maybe threatening water types with this. And Clodsire also provides me with almost all the hazards, Stealth Rocks, Spikes, and Toxic Spikes. It also gets Toxic as well. And Recover, just being a great defensive mon, setting up hazards, pivoting, being a defensive pivot in, is going to be great for this team. Next, my first Terra Captain is Sceptile. I did forget to mention that there's open Terra preview in this league, so instead of selecting a few Terras at the beginning of the season and using those few Terras throughout the season, you can choose any Terra you want on specific Terra Captains, and then before the game starts, you have to tell your opponent which Terra you are for your Terra Captain, depending on how many you bring, right? And the Terra rules are, or the Terra point values are 6 points and lower, so it's like even like lower tier Terra than regular tier Terra overall. A little confusing, but yeah, Sceptile's my Terramon. This gives me some speed, as being the fastest mon so far on my team, base 120 speed. It has Unburden as well if I want to activate that somehow. It gets Swords Dance for physical sets, but it also gets, it does have a higher special attack set, so it does get those Leaf Storms and Energy Balls and Goo Drains and stuff like that. Because it Dragon Pulls, all those moves. So I think this also gets, this is Terra, right? So I do get coverage with Terra Blast and Terra Blast. So I think this mon will be pretty good for my team. Being fast and with the Terra being offensive is very nice. I'm excited to use this mon Terra. Next is Hisuian Typhlosion. So this gives me that fire and ghost type in my team that I didn't have, and it's just Hisuian Typhlosion is very strong offensively. The fire and ghost stab combination is very good offensively, and yeah, this also can be defensive with Will-O-Wisp, stuff like that, Infernal Parade, that as well. I could go Scarf/Specs Eruption, that's also a possibility, and this is my my fighting immunity as well. Frisk. This gets Frisk. Frisk is, I think, very good for draft, especially because you generally do not know what item your opponent's going to run, right? Being able to frisk that item and seeing what they have like a Cuss Staff. You're like, oh, I wouldn't have known that otherwise. So then you know how to play around that Cuss Staff. Or maybe it's a choice locked mon and you frisk it. And you're like, okay, their choice. Now I know from now on, you know, and you wouldn't know that otherwise. As I think Frisk is very good in draft. Next, second to last pick was Sneasel, which is my second Terra Captain. Which I'm excited to Terra Captain as well. This also gives me some speed, 115 speed, and Dark Ice stab coverage is very, very good offensively. And this being able to Terra is good as well. Obviously, I could get rid of that 4 times fighting weakness. However, obviously Sneasel isn't too bulky in general, so I can't just Terra into an Ice, or Terra into a Dark, or Terra into a type that resists. Like I could Terra Fighting and Terra Blast, or something like that. Terra Fairy, Terra Blast. You know. Gets Swords Dance as well. Gets Triple Axle, Knockoff. Those are great options. Obviously, it's obviously a mini Weavile. Yeah. Last is QD Fly. So I had just 1 point remaining. Decided to pick QD Fly. I think Webs could be interesting for my team. My team isn't the fastest. I've stepped out on Sneasel. Other than that, it would be Haxorus my next fastest Pokemon. So if I do want to go that offensive route, maybe I can stick up Sticky with his QD Fly. It's kind of just a filler mon. It does always bring that that pressure of Sticky Webs as well, that my opponent needs to have somewhere in their mind. So yeah, it's kind of just here for Sticky Webs pressure, and if I do really want to bring it. And yeah, that is my team for the UNPL Spring League Showdown division. And yeah, I'm excited for this team actually. I really like this team. I like the spread of mons. I'm really excited for those first 2 mons, clicking Dragon Dance and kind of killing everything. And I like the rest of my team the way it's structured. So I enjoy my 2 Terra Captains. I'm excited for those. Yeah, anyways, that is my draft analysis for the Spring Fling. And the first match will be in a few weeks actually, not immediately, in a few weeks. So yeah, stay tuned for that.